Hey F1 fans, here we are after the race in Australia, and boy was it very eventful this time. Tons of stuff happened and we have quite a lot of changes this time around. Let's take a look. Let's check out what happened with the teams. Okay, we have some swaps in what I think I'm going to call the backfield. It's the teams that are they have to reach to even get points. Yeah, my goodness, we have the Red Bulls, the Racing Bulls, sorry. Daniel, he wasn't the one. He had a lap deletion in qualifying, so he started P18th and finished P12th. So not really impressive there. But Yuki climbed one position from P8 start to P7, scoring a good bit of points for the team this week. And then, of course, that shifted the other teams down a little bit because of the big jump made there with a P7 for Yuki. So for Haas, nothing bad at all, just not as great. They got points again. In fact, both drivers got points. Nico Hulkenberg made a substantial gain, moving from P16 start to P9 finish, and Magnussen finished in P10, and he improved 4 places from P14. So really just a solid race for them. They were there and they were ready to take those points when they became available. Williams, okay, so Logan Sargent didn't race at all because Alex Albon drove his car. Alex crashed in free practice 1, and the team, I guess it's a budget thing, they did not have a spare chassis. So that means they had to go down to 1 car, and they made the executive decision that the driver with the highest chance of getting points will be Albon. So Albon drove Logan's car for the rest of the weekend. Unfortunately, he also narrowly missed points, moving from P12 start to P11, in spite of the DNFs higher up in the field. And then Sauber, poor Valtteri, poor Joe, they both faced pit stop issues with wheel nuts dropping off and rolling around and bad things taking a while to change. So yeah, from the back already, Valtteri started P13 to finish P14. Joe managed to move up from starting P19 to P15, overcoming a little bit of his own pit delays, but not a great weekend for Sauber. They are working on getting that streamlined with changing the wheels, but it's a process and things have to be re-engineered. So unfortunately, the pain struck again this weekend for them. All right, let's see. Okay, the rest of the team stayed the same. So let's just do a little bit of highlights. So Mercedes, I want to start with them because Lewis Hamilton retired on lap 15 due to engine failure. That just doesn't typically happen to Mercedes. George Russell was on course for a P6, P7 until a last lap crash, dropping from a P7 start. So that's a double DNF for Mercedes. But that also removes 2 top running drivers, and allows a lot of other drivers a chance at points where otherwise they might not be possible. Ferrari, on the other hand, in contrast, staying steady and awesome, 1-2 finish for Ferrari, with 2 DNFs for Mercedes. It will put Ferrari well ahead in the standings. And yes, as we can see, the gap between Ferrari now and the next team, and especially Mercedes, is much bigger. Carlos Sainz achieved the victory, qualifying P2 and taking it home to finish on the podium, P1. And Charles Leclerc secured a strong second place finish from P4. Okay, McLaren. So Lando started and finished P3, but he fell back behind Oscar after going long on his initial medium tire stint. However, later he was able to make it back on fresher tires, even though he didn't pit during the safety car. Oscar Piastri had a solid race and advanced one position to finish P4. You know, I have to, for some reason, I don't have notes on Red Bull, but the big note is, guess what? Max Verstappen had a brake failure in lap 3 and he was out. And he hasn't been out for a solid 2 years. So that moved Max out of the top of the field, again, allowing other drivers to move up and fill the gap. So Ferrari was all that, but maybe was not all that because Max actually wasn't there. It turned out to be his brake was actually stuck on, rear back brake. So he, with that, went from P2 to P1. He passed Sainz. Sainz got him, and then he passed Sainz, and then it wasn't drivable, and he had to go in. So, yay, Max. Sergio, solid race. He didn't qualify really poorly. He had some struggles himself, and he had a decent finish. So that's Red Bull. Stays the same, stays on top, but because of the DNF, check out that gap. Check out that gap is only 4 between Red Bull and Ferrari. Not that we expect it to stay there, but Ferrari got a chance to nibble at those heels. Okay, and Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso was headed for P6, but received a penalty and he finished P8 from P10. But it really didn't hurt the team too much. Because Lance Stroll gained some places and finished in P6. So he gained 3 places from where he started. It's a very solid weekend for them. They're staying very solidly right where they are, and they're only 1 point behind Mercedes, who of course had the torrid weekend that they had. Fernando's penalty, it's a 20-second penalty. For basically brake checking George. So he did like an extra, some kind of slow down brake maneuver before the corner, and then that threw off George, and George had his crash. And of course, penalties don't get driven by the consequence, they get driven by what happened. But I don't know, I guess I like Alonso and I like how wily he is. So just to take something that might be, just a wily tactic, throw off the drivers around you without weaving, without, really doing anything illegal. But they decided that was crossing the line. So he got 20 seconds for that. That also seems extremely harsh. But again, it didn't set back the team too much. And in the end, George didn't finish. So if you like justice, it's justice a little bit. Okay, and finally Alpine, poor Alpine, still at the bottom. Esteban Ocon finished P16, starting P15, because he also had a brake issue. He went for a pit stop, so took advantage of the pit stop during the safety car from Max. But then immediately was having a brake issue, so he had to come in again right away. So that's 2 pit stops just back to back, and it turned out to be a tear off in the air duct of the brake. So yeah, just bad luck again. And Gasly, even though he had a strong race, he moved up from P17 to P13. It's still not enough for any points. And let's move on to the drivers. You will be amazed. Let's take a look. Okay, wow. Let's see. So we have a little change up at the top. Yep. Leclerc moves up. You can do it over here. Leclerc moves up because he finished really great. Sergio moves down. He didn't finish that great, but both, a decently solid race. Okay, we have a change up here. George, of course, dropped down because of his DNF, so that's gotta hurt, losing all those places, where Sainz boosts himself up really well by winning the race from a not raced last week. And I've got to put in a note here. I'm not putting Ollie Behrman in this list because I guess it'll get squishy with 21 drivers on there towards the end, and just he's not one of the regular drivers, so no diss to him at all. He's amazing, and he did really amazing, and he has points. And so some of these positions are not actually accurate since we're skipping him out of the list. But the rank order is accurate. So I think I'll just leave it there. He's still on par with Yuki Tsunoda, I think. And like really amazing for a temporary drive on one race. So hats off to him, but I'm just so you know why I'm not putting him in here. So yeah, that was great for Saints. Norris had a great consistent drive, and Alonso got pegged a little bit by that penalty, but pretty much same. So I'm going to call this set of drivers kind of the chasing pack, because, you know, including the Aston Martins, they have a chance at P2, P3, P4, P5. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this would be kind of the back of the pack, the backfield a little bit, although we have a couple drivers from front field because they were in this mess of change-ups. Let's take a look at the big one here. We have Yuki, huge result there because he gained a lot of points again. So that's a really nice move up for him. Stroll moves up, decent race compared to his DNF last week. So he's moving kind of up to where he should be with the Aston Martins. And the other one that moved up was Magnussen. So yeah, we had a great result. It's ironic that Hulky moves down, even though he got points, which is a rare occurrence for Haas, but it's because others got more points. So there you have it. And everyone else just kind of moved down according to everyone else moving up. And finally, at the very back, we have a little bit of a change up with Sargent not racing. Of course, he didn't get those points, so that was ouch because that was not through any doing of his own. So not only does he stay at 0, but he bounces to the back. And Gasly managed to land higher, so he moves up a little bit. And then we have our three drivers who stayed the same, which is Max, with a DNF, is still at the top. We have Oscar, very consistent driver. I mean, look at him. He's just pegged himself there, and he's keeping himself there. And then finally, we have Valtteri Bottas, who also is very consistent in his pit stop woes and slow car. So there we have it. Tons of crazy movement. It's still early in the season, so lots can happen. And with 3 high runners being out of the race, it gave lots of opportunities for midfield and backfield drivers to move up beyond where they normally would. In terms of Guess F1, Val, that's my nickname in the game, it's my game name, got it right on. I guess the correct ending position for Ocon, which was P16. So I moved up in a lot of the rankings and I'm super happy. I hope you're playing. I know it's not the same if you join late, but by all means join if you want to join and check out the results. Loads of fun to be had there for a very quick time expenditure each week, and you can create your own leagues to compete with your own friends and your own family. And that's it. So yeah, take care. And until next time, our next race is Japan in 2 weeks. See you there.